So this is a very quick tutorial on how to use Blender and how to use STLs in Blender from the scanner. A few people have had problems with working with Blender. It can be quite a steep learning curve. So if you have a look at this, and hopefully it should get you started. First thing we need to do is get rid of these three here just by drag. That's the camera, the box, it always comes up, and the light. So just select all of those. You see them because they turn orange, press delete, they're all gone. So what we want to do now is open the STL. So if I go to File, Import STL, and find my model, which will be my hub. The important thing to do here is Blender works in meters as a unit, whereas your scans are going to be in millimeters. So what we need to do is divide by 1000. So in the scale box, we type 0.001 and click import. It should come in, it will take a while. If you don't do that, if you don't scale it, it's going to come in huge. It will come in as like half a kilometer long, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so the model's in now. You can see it's a little tiny orange splodge down there, but you can actually see it up there. That's where you want to be looking. So it's no good down there. The easiest way to get this back in the viewport is to, or maximize it, is to click on the object name, move the mouse into the viewport again. You have to do that, and then click the decimal point or the period on the numpad, and that will maximize your shot so you can see exactly what you've got. Now the next thing to learn is how to manipulate the view. So if you hold the middle mouse button down, we can rotate the view. If you hold the shift key whilst the middle mouse button's pressed, you slew it around or pan, and then as always scrolling the mouse wheel takes you in and out. So that's a good idea to play with them, because you're going to be using it quite a bit. So as you can see, the model is slightly off of the Cartesian points here, or the axes. It's right out the way. So the first thing we need to do is realign this, and that's really what I want to teach today, or at least give a demonstration of. So if we click the object, I want to move the origin. The origin is there, that little point, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Is that if I go to rotate the object, it will rotate around the points where all the major axes intersect. That's no good, because it's just going to keep moving it around. So the easiest way we do that is we click on the object, then we right click on the object, and you put set origin to either mass, surface, or volume. It doesn't matter. We're just going to try and get that point close in. So click on that, and the point has now moved to roughly the center of the object. It's not dead center, but it's much better for our use. Now we can play around with this. So if you saw just a minute ago, I went and clicked on some of these points up here. This is the best way to orientate your view, especially if you're going to go into CAD, because you've got your major axes there. So I always try and start off with either Y or X. So if I click Y, I can see the object is sort of facing up, and I need to rotate it. So the way you do that is you select the item, you press R, and then you move. You don't have to hold R or anything like that. You can just move the mouse and we can rotate it. So the way I do things is I just do gradual improvements all the time. So I'm just going to do that, rotate so it's roughly upright. Next thing I'm going to do is go up to here and press, or click on the Z, and give me a top down. You can see, here we go, we're going to move around. Like you can see, I'm not quite straight, and I want that spindle going up that green line. So I press R again, and I can just turn it. So we're getting closer. So the only one we haven't done is X. So I go to X, and you can see I'm slightly below. So I don't need to rotate here. So, or actually I do. So if I rotate it and go about like that, that's fine. So once we've got it sort of aligned, what we need to do is get it into this point up here, which is where they cross over. To do that, you need another function, which is the G key, or grab. So if I press G, same thing happens. The object sticks to your mouse, so you can just move that about. So we're going to move it so that the we're going to try and get it aligned, because if we're going to try and bring this into CAD, we want to align to some major part of, or major feature of the part. So I'm going to put spindle up the green line, and I'm going to probably try and get the blue line, which is the Z-axis, aligned to one of the bosses, if you like, of the cylinder. So about there. Don't have to be accurate, but once again, it's sort of jumped up the screen, so we can pan and then zoom in and then get closer. And this is where things become a bit more progressive. So you just gradually tweak this move, this sort of combination of moves I've been doing. So again, we're slightly off to the right. Press G, we can move it. Now another really useful feature here is using the X-ray. So if I click up here, that little icon says X-ray. If I do that, I can actually see the lines underneath the part, and that is really quite handy. You can also see the major lines of the bounding boxes of the part, so you can see whether it's skewed and things like that. So let's move that across and zoom in. I want to get the face here aligned to the red. So I press G. No, I don't, because that's hide. So I press G and move it across to about there. That's pretty good. Zoom out. Let's go to this axis. Going in. Let's have a little look. Now I'm going to teach another little trick, which is to fine tune. So here I want to rotate very slightly downwards. So if I click or press R and hold shift down, you can see I can, big swings of the mouse, I only translate to really tiny moves. And so I can really fine tune that alignment. This is how I get things really aligned. So that's pretty good there. You can see I'm not quite on line, so again, G. Now this time is a little different, so let's get out of here. I've nicely aligned to this axis here. I don't want to be moving it forward and back, because that would just spoil where I've got to. So I only want to move upwards. So if I, again, highlight the item, press G, and then Z, I can only move on the Z axis, which is up and down. I can't move forward and back. It's a really useful tool to help you align and stop you from spoiling the work you've already done. So we're getting closer. If I go to the Y axis, which is looking down the spindle, I can see I'm pretty good now. So here I want to try and align that little divot point right into the center there. So press G, move it in. There we go, that's getting accurate. I'm slightly off center. So I go again, click the object, press R, turn it around, hit shift, and I can then fine tune that into position. And it's just a case of keep playing with that until you're really happy with it. I mean, that's actually pretty good as it is, so not too bad. We can take the X-ray off and you can see the part again, and it's pretty good. The next thing to do, obviously, is to get this into CAD. And the easiest way to do that is to highlight the object. You actually don't have to do that. It's only if you've got multiple objects in there. And click File, Export, STL. I always work in STLs. And then you need to amplify the scale again, because remember, when you brought it in, you were quite low down. You took it down by a division of 1,000, so we need to up it by 1,000. So you just type in 1,000 into the scale. You can adjust the axes. I know in SolidWorks, Y is actually up, so we can change that to Y up, and Z is forward, and it's done automatically. And that's it. You export, and you're done. And that's how I get my objects into CAD, nicely aligned to the primary, secondary and tertiary axis, or it's actually still saving. Yeah, it's nicely aligned to the axis. I hope that helps. If you've got any more questions and you want me to do another video, then give me a shout. This is my first video I've ever done, so don't judge it too harshly. Cheers.